Kennedy, hi, how you doing? Okay, it sounds like your hand was a little shaky. That's okay, I get that. I mean, you'll be surprised how good you get at this quickly. By the time you're doing your second iteration due Sunday, and we have another trial by fire assignment next week, you're gonna be amazed at how quickly you get good at this. So, at any rate, let's go ahead and take a look at the work. Here it is, right here. Okay, now a couple of things I want to comment on. First thing is that you're using a kind of a hard lead. We can see the reflections in the light here. I think it would be easier for you. I think the best way to do this is to go ahead and trace the hard lines, the contour lines of the letters. Okay, and use a hard lead for that, and then go back and into your drawing pencils and try to find a softer lead to fill them in. Okay, it won't damage the paper underneath, and it won't create these reflections um, based on that hard lead. So next thing I see is that your baseline, mean line, and cap line are A, not level, and B, not parallel. So we can see this kind of goes, it's a little down, it goes down towards here, meaning this space here is less than this space here, okay? And then we kind of see the same thing here. So the first thing you want to do is when you're establishing that baseline, mean line, cap line, make sure they are perfectly level with the picture plane, the page, and then also make sure that they are perfectly parallel with one another, representing the mean line, height, x height of the lowercase letters, and the cap line, the height of the uppercase B. Okay, now as far as craft goes, I think you're doing pretty good. You really want to take your time on your second iteration because these letter forms should be perfect. Let me show you what I mean. So I've got this open right here. This is that. And what I want to do is I want to take just a comparison to the B. Take a look at the B. What you really want to do is pay attention to these counter spaces, the shapes of these counter spaces. So we can see they're not quite the same here. You see how this counter space right here is a little less, and what I can do is I grab this page right here, use it as a straight edge, and I'm going to place it right there where that counter space meets that stroke, right, that curved stroke for the uppercase B. We come up there and we see that upper counter space it's not as big, it's smaller. That's called an optical relationship, and that's just one of the things. We're going to be learning about optical relationships next week, so just really pay attention to those negative spaces, those counterforms. For example, let's take a look at this lowercase a. Now if we drop from this portion right here, we drop down, we can see it almost aligns with that curved part of that lower part of the letter, that bottom story of that two-story lowercase a, right? But over here we see this one really extends out, so it's not, the spatial relationships aren't the same. Let's go ahead and take a look at the N. And we see the N again. Oh, another thing I want to mention is watch these variable width strokes. Okay, see how this is thinner here than it is here? You really want to represent that here. Okay, and then we take a look at the N and we can see another variable width stroke right there. Okay, and it's kind of depicted a little bit here, but not quite as accurately as I would like to see. And then also you want to make sure that your verticals are true verticals. Okay, so in other words, that should be a vertical right there. Instead, it kind of curves. It starts curving way down here on the end, but over here we see that N is almost straight up to where it branches off right here. Okay, so you really want to pay attention there. Now, in terms of letter spacing, I think you've done an excellent job. What I want you to do is this. Now, this is, you guys really presumably don't have any knowledge of letter spacing going into this assignment, so that's why we ask to establish what we consider normal letter spacing, and I think this is great. Now, what you want to do in your second iteration is you want to establish good, expeditious letter spacing based on the shapes of the letters. The general rule of thumb is this, is that the widest space is going to, let's start with the most narrow. The most narrow space is going to be between two curved letter forms, okay? Then you're going to open up that space a little bit for a combination of a straight and a curve, and then the widest would be between two straights. Okay, now when I say the narrowest, the next narrowest, and then the widest, it really shouldn't be noticeable. It should just be little subtle difference, and the idea here is to create the equal volume between letter forms. So this, of course, is going to want to be closer together, these two curved, because you've got these other counter spaces, right? So you want to reduce the volume here, and you want to increase the volume here to make those two different volumes equal, or at least appear to be equal. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so that's basically what I'd like to see you to attempt for your final solution. Just basically really paying attention to the letter forms, the shapes of the letter forms, and then using those basic rules for your letter spacing. All right, Kennedy, great job. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you very much.